It's time for the Ruffin Wrestling Show. Here's your host, Michael Ruffin.
You're soft, you're sloppy.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ruffin Wrestling Show. Here to just, Hell in the Cell just went off air, 10 minutes ago or so. So, here to talk about Hell in the Cell, but for once, it's not just me talking by myself. I've got a friend of mine here, my buddy Matt, hanging out. We watched Hell in the Cell together, so.
Yes.
Matt is my WWE Network buddy, because I live in the country, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by pine trees, without high-speed internet. So I've kind of learned how to live without the streaming entertainment. So he's my network hookup. You're my network dealer.
I basically just have the internet and the PlayStation to watch the network on. The bad part is I don't even own the network. I'm using friends of mine login.
A lot of people do that. I think a lot of people do that. And, when I had my subscription, I loaned my password out to
me.
You. I remember I was actually walking into WrestleMania 30 and I got a message from you like, hey, do you have a network login? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm at WrestleMania 30, so you can use mine. It's fine. They keep talking about how they're going to make it where if somebody's watching on a login and other people try to log in for it, it's going to boot you.
They'll probably do like Netflix and have 2 screens at a time, but I don't think they'll boot completely like that because...
I think you're onto something. I think that might be the next... on Netflix, you can pay less, but you only get 1 screen, and then you can pay more and get more.
2 or 3 or 4.
Right. I think that'll be the next thing the network does, pricing-wise, is it'll be $9.99 for 1 screen, but then it'll be $12.99 or $14.99, and you get to share as much as you want and do whatever. So, first off, Hell in the Cell, grade A to F. What do you want to...
I would say, me personally, I'd say it's a strong, at least, B-.
Right, I'm going to give it the Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give it the B+. I thought it was a B+ show. It was a good show that ended on in my opinion, a sour note. But we'll talk about that because we're going to go through this thing. You have the order pulled up, so we're going to go through this thing in order. We're not going to really talk about the pre-show match, the 6-man tag with the cruiserweights. I'm sure it was great. I saw a few things in it. I saw the triple suicide dive. That looked pretty awesome. But you were saying earlier how you feel the cruiserweights, since the Cruiserweight Classics, have just kind of been, they're not doing it for you.
It's not clicking to me. I think a bunch of it was Perkins as the champion. Given that if they had their chance, they'd probably make, what's his name, Ibushi? Or Bashi?
Akota Ibushi.
Yeah. I think they would have made him champion, but he didn't sign, so they had to go with somebody else. Of course, they didn't want one of their older bringbacks, such as, Kendrick or Tajiri. They didn't want to put him as champion at first, so they had to give it to a new, younger person. It's okay, we're going back. But it's nothing against them. It's just that's more of an NXT thing, in my opinion, because... they're able to do a lot more there, and I don't like Perkins. I just didn't like Perkins.
I do feel like when Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. were brought in for the Cruiserweight Classic, they really put a lot of those eggs in one basket. That they would possibly be able to sign those two. Make them, you would give somebody, especially with Zack Sabre Jr., you would have somebody where you really could give him and Nakamura could really go at it. It could really be Nakamura's first legit title defense after Samoa Joe, who I think his time in NXT is coming to an end. So I think by the end of the year, Royal Rumble time, Samoa Joe will be at WrestleMania.
Yes.
Let's just go with that. Could happen anytime in there. But then again, I also said that about Finn Balor, and it took a year after me numerous times saying, I think this will be when it happens. And then it just happened, in the draft. And it was, the most anticlimactic, way to get on the roster.
I think they did that because they wanted to... I literally don't think that Balor knew he was being drafted.
From what I have seen, and this may be kayfabe, I don't know, but reportedly, the NXT roster was called to the Performance Center to watch the draft live, but nobody in NXT knew they were being drafted.
I can believe that.
With the reactions of some of them, I don't think they're that good of actors. People like Nia Jax and Carmella, their reactions were too genuine for them to have known. I think maybe a few people knew. I think Bailey. Well, no, Bailey didn't get drafted.
No, Bailey.
I think Balor may have known. I think maybe Alexa Bliss may have known. Like,
I really legit think that Balor didn't know. Bliss maybe, but Balor.
It's a better story to say that Balor didn't know, that nobody knew. So, all right, well, we're already off track. We're 5 minutes in. We're already like going. No. This is why I like Spreaker, which is where I do my podcast hosting, because they supply it to iTunes. It's really super user friendly, but I only get 45 minutes of upload every day. So if I want to do a show and upload it, it has to be under 45 minutes. So it keeps you on track to shoot for that 30 to 45 minute show. Okay. So, but let's talk about Hell in the Cell. We kicked off with Roman Reigns and Rusev, which I think let's say you like Roman.
I wouldn't say a full Reigns mark, but I will say I actually legit like Roman. Growing up watching the Attitude Era, watching his cousin The Rock, watching all of them going like that, I've seen how a push can kill momentum instead of actually growing momentum. But I think Roman's taking it and running with it. Do I think should turn him heel like he was back in FCW and NXT when he was professional or
something that like real arrogant, that? Yeah. I can't remember exactly what they called him.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember, like, he was really narcissistic.
Yes, he was amazing at it. But I actually enjoy Reigns. He's not as bad as people say. Everybody complained 4 moves, 5 moves. Everybody does it. Stone Cold said he did it. Rock said he did it. Everybody does it. It's just that nowadays we pick it out. He actually puts heart into it. Put him with the right opponents, such as Rusev, such as Rollins, stuff like that. He's great. Rusev, always loved Rusev. He's a great big guy. He can move. He just reminds me of old 80s school wrestlers like that. And in the way he come in, he destroys it. His submission mode's fine. I love the spot actually in the match near the end with the accolade on the steps.
Yeah, with the chain.
Flipped into the Samoan drop to the
spear? It was kind of like it was a Samoan drop. He picked him up, and then Samoa dropped him onto the stairs, and then I think Reigns actually kind of took a little bit of a bump there himself because he landed on the corner.
Yeah,
he kind of Randy Orton on the television monitor at WrestleMania 30 to himself.
Yes.
So and then. The way I was calling this, when they brought that chain out and the chain got in the ring, I was like, okay, this is going to end with a Superman punch with the chain. Mm-hmm. Like, I think like that's going to be. But I had to give this match its props. Like, they had the longest match of the night. I think they went like 30 something minutes.
About 24 and a half.
24 and a half minutes. Yeah. Okay, so almost half an hour.
Yeah.
And they really beat the hell out of each other. There was a lot of brutal spots in this match. All 3 Cell matches tonight delivered on what we expect from a Hell in the Cell match, which is anything and everything to come out and really be into play. You know, no craziness like outside the cell, really, off the cell, outside of maybe Charlotte and Sasha Banks, who kind of did some stuff, you know, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But Roman Reigns retains the U.S. Championship in his Hell in the Cell match. I don't think these two are done.
I'm thinking they're done.
You think they're done?
I think this was the blow-off match. I really think this is the blow-off match.
It could be, but now where do we go?
That's what I was thinking. Like, who do we stick Roman with now if we were fantasy booking? And I'm pulling a blank, but I think as far as him and Rusev, I think that feud should go now. And then Rusev moves on to something, maybe form a tag team with somebody, jump into that mix, or goes on to do something else mediocre until time comes back up, put him back in a mid-card.
What sucks is, well, now that 2 of them are gone, one of them rumored to be coming back, by the way. I really actually miss the League of Nations.
Oh, yes.
I actually liked when it was Rusev, Sheamus, and then Alberto Del Rio and Wade Barrett, who reportedly is being talked to about coming back for SmackDown.
I like Wade Barrett.
When he left, he didn't leave on bad terms. He just didn't want to do wrestling for a while. So I think he's gone off. He's been gone for,
Probably about 6 months to a year.
6 months, almost say 8 months or so.
Yeah.
So he went out, he tried the acting thing. I don't think it's really worked out for him, and I think that savings account's not going to last forever. So I think they may write him, they may give him a good check, and he may come back. So I don't, we'll have to see on that. But I liked when Rusev was part of that group. So for me, Rusev has always kind of been a package deal. You've got him with Lana. You can do that forever. You never have to break that up.
No.
And then, because we saw what happens the last time they tried to break that up.
Lana, the Heat Seeker, wants to post pictures on Instagram.
Lana breaks their engagement on Instagram. Totally breaks kayfabe. Yeah, I'm with Dolph Ziggler, but Rusev totally put a ring on it. So that was, and they had to just completely crush that. Plus, it was finally the end of Ruru.
Yeah.
Ruru and Ray Ray.
I still think that's funny, though. Ruru is still hilarious.
Ruru and Ray Ray.
But altogether, it was a good match. I still think Roman can go. I still think if people actually gave him a chance to just look past this, he was this, that.
I think the whole thing with Roman getting booed is that it's not that he's a bad wrestler. It's that you could tell that he was being handed opportunities without really having earned them.
Well, we could probably go on about that because with the roster the way it is, it's hard to find because nowadays it's way hard to put people over and stay kayfabe with it because kayfabe's pretty much broken. But we all know pushes and everything, and you have to in the business build up a big face and a big heel. Still, tweeners all you want, but you still have to do that. And just with him, wrong time, wrong place, and people didn't buy into it. Same thing happened with The Rock, but I think once they let him fully go, like they kind of did before the big push, he'll get over it again. Just give it time.
Like the Shield broke up, and Seth was over, Dean was over, Roman got booed, but like Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So you got to deal with that. Do you think we'll actually ever see, now that they are all 3 face? Do you think we will see a Shield reunion?
I believe we could see it happen.
I believe we'll see it happen sooner rather than later. It may be like a short thing, like 1 or 2 pay-per-views. It's going to be hard to do with Dean on a separate brand.
Yeah.
So that's going to be difficult to do. But that could be something that comes into play. The rumor about Survivor Series is that this 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown, the stipulation is going to be that the winning team gets to pick 3 superstars from the losing brand and bring them over to their brand. I think this might be a way of getting Dean over to Raw.
Possible.
Because honestly, you can't do Dean and AJ forever. You just cannot do it. And honestly, right now, that's the only person that he can really do anything with. Because really, everybody else is kind of mid-card and just kind of boring to watch. Unless you want to put him in like the Intercontinental Championship. So, I think that might be the way they do it. And even if they do, I don't think it'll be a permanent reunion. It'll be like a one-off thing.
Oh, yeah.
1 pay-per-view, maybe 2. Build it up for a month, and then have them just go amicably about their way. Like, this was fun, but we're doing our own things.
So. Oh yeah, it'd probably be a Mania moment. And that's about it.
Right. It could be. So, what did we have next?
Next, we have Bayley versus Dana Brooks.
Okay. I thought this went the way I hoped that it would. With the fact that on Monday Night Raw, it was either this week or last week, I think it was this past week, with the arm wrestling match.
Yeah.
With the first time, you could see the devastation on Bayley's face as the crowd booed her and chanted that this was boring. Like, it was the first time the crowd really turned on a moment that Bayley was involved in. I mean, she is the princess of WWE, and the crowd was not having it. And so I was really hoping that this would be a really good redemption moment for her. They did a great thing with Dana really working the arm that she was doing the injury with, and all of that. There was a lot of great stuff. And I was saying in the match, like, the thing with Bayley is everybody gives Bayley, or they used to, back when Bayley first debuted and was really working her way up the NXT women's division, people gave Bayley a bunch of shit because she was too bubblegum babyface. Like, she was Miss Sweet and hugs and high fives and waving arm flailing tube man, and she was almost too childish to be a superstar. And then you see like some of the stuff she does in this match, like she did the stunner over the top rope, on Dana, and then she and she can do some brutal. She actually can do some pretty brutal moves when she has to and when she wants to.
I have to say, since the quote-unquote start of the women's revolution, what was it, last year or so?
No, with WrestleMania.
Yeah, this is probably the only women's match that kind of harkened back to the, let's go take a whiz and grab a beer type women's match.
It did.
I just really was, it's shortest match of the night, wasn't really into this match. Nothing against either one of them. Dana probably needs some polish. Bailey's always good, but, it's just didn't click. Good match between both of them, but it's just like, okay, I'm going to smoke a cigarette, take a whiz, and grab something to drink.
Oh yeah, I got with the whole thing with Dana Brooke, and I don't have a problem with Dana Brooke outside of the duck face. Look, the girl is Ohio thick, okay?
And her ugly ass WWE 2K17 model.
Oh god. Okay, yeah. If you
scary.
have not seen what Dana Brooke looks like on 2K17, that is the thing that nightmares are made of.
Yeah, don't buy the hype. Charlotte looks okay. The other females look okay. Dana Brooke is where nightmares are made. That model is
Dana
where
Brooke on
are made.
2K17 looks like she belongs in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes.
Like she's just so terrifying looking. Like she has this creepy grin and like this darkness around all her, like her mouth and her eyes. She looks very creepy, and her eyes actually just look whited out like Undertaker's eyes. So it's like, oh my god, she looks terrifying.
Google it, look for it. You
remember how Renee Young looked like on 2K16?
Yes,
that's what it looks
it's
like.
Worse.
It's worse. It's worse than Renee Young on 2K16. So that should tell you where, if we didn't think we could get worse, we did. But like I said, Dana Brooks built Ohio thick.
Yes.
She's she's a fitness competitor, and best of my knowledge, I could be wrong. So if I am, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure that her days in NXT were her first days of professional wrestling.
She was green. She was way green.
She was extremely green, and then they brought Charlotte up, and then they brought Emma up, and they were gonna do the whole. Emma was essentially going to be the role that Dana Brooke has played. And then Emma got hurt and had to have back surgery. And now she's being rebranded to that Emmalina or whatever.
Now her and Zack Ryder hang out at Disney World Universal all the time.
Yes, they do. With us both being Disney annual pass holders, I kind of wish one day I'm just walking through the park and there's, Long Island, I see an Emma.
There's only about 3 people I wish I could run into the park. It being Zack Ryder, Emma, and this guy I watch on YouTube called Scarred. I can't think of his first name now. Went blank. Random Land. Look it up. Great. But there was only 3 people I wish I could find in the park. But again, that's different such outside of wrestling.
Alexa Bliss is also a big Disney person.
Oh yeah, she was actually in park this weekend. Actually,
oh really? Yeah.
They did Disney bounding. She did Buzz Lightyear. It's actually pretty cool.
Awesome. So there you go. Wrestling and Disney cosplay.
Yes.
There's 2 things you never thought you'd ever hear on the same episode. So,
well, I was kind of glad to see this match ended. Bailey hit the Bailey to belly, and then we went about our business.
Yeah, we went about our business to the next match, which was, I believe,
the Club versus Enzo and Cass.
Okay, yeah. First off, I think Enzo and Cass's promo at the beginning was longer than the match.
Yes, it was actually. Just about.
It was great. I loved Andy and the big gal. You're good, and if you don't appreciate a small man from New Jersey doing a promo about loving big women, I don't think wrestling might be for you. That was honestly that, and the whole, what was it, this ain't Toy Story, but at the end of this match, Big Cass is going to have Andy tattooed on the bottom of his foot, or bottom of his boot, something like that. That wasn't the exact quote, but because it was something like, if this is Toy Story, then I'm Buzz Lightyear, and Cass is Woody, because he's going to have Andy stamped on the bottom of his boot. I thought that was good. This match went pretty much as expected. The Club needed a redemption after that goofiness that was the whole thing with New Day.
I like the doctor thing was funny, but
I thought it was funny, but when you're looking at the 2 guys who came in so highly decorated, being the IWGP tag champions in Japan. These guys came in with a very big reputation, very much the same reputation as Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles.
Yes.
So they came in, and within a couple of months, they were essentially geeking to the New Day.
Yeah, I think what it was, of course, with Vince and WWE, they love to bury other promotions, big stars.
Oh, boy, do they.
Especially ones they wouldn't build. They can't do so with Nakamura. They can't do so with Styles, because Styles has been all around the world.
Well, they did so with Styles in that he lost his WrestleMania debut to Jericho.
Yeah, they're small barrel, but Styles bounced back, because I really saw. I think it's, as far as American, as far as WWE watches outside of the smart marks and the big marks and the IWC, it wasn't really as big, so they need to find a way to break them in with New Day. But then again, they should have brought them in, kicked a lot more ass. But this got them back where it is, get over a really hot team such as Enzo and Cass, which should always stay over until they decide to push Cass to a championship, a singles championship. I believe that. So let them start running roughshod through heels and face teams like anybody on Raw right now.
And that's when you look at the Raw tag team division, it's kind of lacking.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have a lot of depth to it. Their solo has a lot of depth, and their women's has a lot of depth. But their tag teams, really, SmackDown is kind of running the tag team division. But honestly, if you've not been watching SmackDown, in my opinion, SmackDown has been better than Raw.
Oh, yes.
Really, the only thing that's over on Raw right now, more than anybody, is the list of Jericho, which I think is really funny. It's the second time in his career that Chris Jericho has gotten over with a list.
1,004
the 1,000 moves or 1,000 holds.
1,004 holds of Jericho and 700 of them were arm bars.
Right, arm bar, 2 arm bar. And then you have the list of Jericho, which I've been loving. I love when he's walking to the ring and like a fan will say something to him, and he'll stop and he'll look at the fan and then he'll write down this fan in Des Moines, Iowa. So, but SmackDown has been the better show. So, yes. But the thing is with the Club and Enzo, they honestly will probably keep that feud going for a while. The Club needed to win tonight.
Yes.
Enzo and Cass can afford to lose for a while because just simply the whole chanting along to the intro, and their promo and their mic work is always going to keep them over. They will see tag team gold. It will happen.
I think they're next up after New Day decides to drop the title because
I think so too. I think that they actually might be the ones to win it from New Day. But the question is, when does that happen? Yeah. It's just. New Day doesn't need to lose their tag titles anytime soon, and then they're so close to beating Demolition's record. Like, I think they're within 2 months of doing it now.
I see that happening.
I just really want to see it happening.
They'll either drop it at the Rumble or they'll drop it at Mania. One or the other.
They could either work. So, the Club goes over with Enzo and Cass in a much needed victory, and which was okay.
Yeah, so. Amazing match. Definitely watch that one. Next up is your second Hell in the Cell. That's Owens versus Rollins.
This was a pretty good match. You got 2 guys that came from Ring of Honor, both of these guys known for not caring about their health or safety, and they really let these guys loose and let them go. I think my favorite spot in this, both of us, was the fire extinguisher to the ref's face. The ref bump with the fire extinguisher. And then he did it twice. That was the best part. Is he fired it into the ref's face, and then he was like, oh, shit. And then he did it again. And then they had to trade out refs.
Owens is always able to do subtle comedy, either yelling at Michael Cole, which is the reason why I hate they took the announce table away from ringside, and then something like that, whereas he's like, oh, shit. And he did it, and then he didn't think nobody else was looking. He just kind of held it behind him, hit it again just for the hell of it. No reason why, just did it. That was a really good match. For a long time, it probably going to be match of the night, or a really close second, depending on who you talk to.
Yep.
But I think they could have went a little harder. I think a bunch of it was real safe.
They could. I mean, and a lot of people, when it comes to Hell in the Cell, the forever mark of comparison will be Mick Foley and Undertaker, the match where Undertaker threw Mick Foley off the top through the table. Dear God, they've broken him in half. That will always be the match that whenever we get to Hell in the Cell, everybody's going to be like, this is going to be great, but it's not going to be Undertaker and Mankind. Or, whatever. At the time, he was Mankind at the time, right?
It was King of the Ring 96.
Was it? I thought it was like a Monday Night Raw.
No, it was King of the Ring.
Okay. Did Undertaker and Foley ever have more than one Hell in the Cell?
They did.
Okay.
They did.
So I'm probably combining a few things. Because the drop through the top onto the thumbtacks is not the same match. Is it?
Yes.
Is it the same match?
That was, and it was King of the Ring 98.
When his tooth ended up in his nose?
Yes, because he was supposed to go for a regular choke slam onto the top of the cage. The cage gave way. He didn't know it gave way. He fell onto it. He actually took the choke slam wrong. He said, if I would have took it right, I probably would have died. He took it wrong. And what's really funny is everybody remembers the close-up of his face and the tooth in his nose, but really he was trying to push his tongue through the hole that he bit in the bottom of his lip. He didn't know about the tooth till like a next day.
I mean, this man's missing teeth and ear.
Yes. He's stitched back together is what he is.
Yeah.
But
to me, that's the bar that people compare Hell in the Cell to.
Yes and no. As far as brutality, yes. But as far as quality matches, Michaels Undertaker first, Hell in a Cell, great match. One of my favorite...
Jericho, Triple H have a great one.
Yes. One of my favorite is WrestleMania 28, second matchup between technically third, but second in the back-to-back in 27-28. Michaels, referee, Triple H, and Undertaker Hell in a Cell into the error match. Because that went enough brutal, but then again, perfect to end out what they wanted to end up. I said, we got these two error stars, put them together. This is the official end, I guess you could say, closure of the Attitude Era. And supposedly, quote, quote, different time to talk about, it's supposed to be Undertaker's last match, but apparently not. So, so kept going.
Undertaker's last match will be whenever the fuck Undertaker decides he's not going to wrestle anymore.
Or dies, one or the other.
Or dies. And these things could happen at the same time.
Yes.
It is very real that he could die in a match. But let's talk about a few of the spots in this. WWE followed the formula, like I was saying during the Sasha and Charlotte match. Whoever sets up the death spot, either with a chair or a table, whoever sets it up, 9 times out of 10 is the one who goes through it. Which this one was Kevin Owens set up one table and then he propped another table up on the ring into the cell. And he ended up being the one to go through it in a pretty brutal looking spot. It was probably that and the finish were probably the roughest looking spots. Talk about the fact that also when the ref bump happened, the door was open and Chris Jericho did come in and get in the ring or get inside the cell, and it was part of the match. He kept interfering back and forth and whatnot. But this thing ends when it was Seth. Kevin Owens powerbombed Seth onto two chairs that were set up.
Yep.
Looked pretty bad. He pretty much bent the chairs to shit.
Yeah.
And that was your finish. But now we can talk about Jericho and Owens.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be. Or Jericho and Rollins leading up to Jericho and Owens. Yes.
Well, we have the best friends. Everybody's thinking they're going to break them up because they keep kind of hinting at, there being tension and there being, that they're not always on the same page, that Kevin Owens allows Jericho to get pedigreed and all this stuff, and that he doesn't care about Jericho as much as Jericho cares about Owens and all this stuff. So they're trying to create the drama on TV. And, obviously they didn't play out tonight. They did fine, but then Jericho hit Rollins at the end of the match with a code breaker, setting up what will probably start tomorrow night on Raw with a main event will be Jericho and Rollins.
I'm kind of interested to see that because I think Jericho and Rollins would be a great match for each other.
Yeah, it'd be a great feud because I think Rollins and Owens is over for now. Yeah, I think that's done for the time.
I don't know. I think they'll just pass Owens onto like a small little feud with like a throwaway feud until setting up to another one of the big four because he'll probably go into Survivor Series as one in this traditional 5-man team.
Yeah, he'll probably be part of the 5-man.
And then you probably won't see another big match until Rumble in January for him. So they just start a feud, do Rumble, and then go from there. But I'm glad to see Owens win. Continue on with that. And then we move on to that to the Cruiserweights.
We got Brian Kendrick and T.J. Perkins. Of course, the storyline, you like it, I hate it.
Yes.
The whole thing of Brian Kendrick telling T.J. Perkins, hey man, I need this. They kind of did the whole Heath Slater, I got kids
I like the idea.
thing, and him asking T.J. Perkins to essentially give him the match.
I kind of liked it because it made sense. You know, they're trying to play Kendrick up as this a lot older guy. Kendrick's only 5 years older than Perkins. Perkins is 32. He's cut his damn hair. Quit looking like he's 12. Quit doing that dad bullshit. And let's find him another character. Because they're like, oh, he picked him up from school. What the fuck was he in? College?
Right. They probably had a college course together.
Yes.
You know? Picked him up from his dorm.
Yes.
You know.
Only big thing I can say about this match that really sticks out is he fooled me with that landing. I thought
he did. I actually bought
Yeah.
the whole injury because even when they showed the replay, you know, when he landed, it actually happens on the step back. He actually faked essentially the look of an ankle injury.
That
very impressively.
Yeah,
I thought it was like, wow, he actually might be hurt.
And then Perkins played his job correctly.
Yeah, he did.
Hooked in the captain hook, tapped out.
Yeah.
Kendrick wins. I think that's the right move. They can actually do something.
Yep.
Get Perkins out. After that, you get New Day versus Cesaro and Sheamus, which I love both of them.
I don't love them as a team. As a team, they are just highly dysfunctional, which is what makes it so entertaining to watch.
Yes.
Because they're so not on the right page, but they make it work so great. Because they're such good wrestlers and such good professionals at what they do that they make this hysterical.
It might just last only about a month or so. Might not even last that much longer. Probably get another like a final blow off match between Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah.
After the best of 7. After this, for what it is, I'm enjoying it, and it's not going to stay around. Okay, cool. Break them up, split them off, put them into a feud for like one of the mid card titles, whatever. New Day, of course, wins on disqualification after Kofi Kingston catches Sheamus in the face with a Trouble in Paradise.
Right, after Sheamus hit Big E with Francesca 2.
Yes.
So now we will have Francesca 3.
He broke the horn portion of it, which I don't know anything about trombones like that. Never been or about.
He broke the bell of the trombone?
Yeah.
That might can actually be fixed.
Yeah, I kind of figure that would be a lot stronger than the slide or anything else. But, you know.
They broke Francesca 1.
Yeah,
but the slide got broken.
Yeah.
So, I think if the slide gets broken, you have to replace it. The bell might be able to be fixed. Then again, maybe not. So, we talked about the fact that every time Xavier Woods wrestles with New Day, they normally lose.
Yes.
So I was kind of worried that this match was Big E and Xavier with Kofi on the outside instead of, you know, essentially Xavier Woods in Kofi Kingston's normal spot.
Yeah.
There we go. And this one, you know, kind of had a shady finish with Xavier Woods was tapping out to the sharpshooter while the referee was arguing with Sheamus and Kofi Kingston about Kofi hitting him with Trouble in Paradise. Yeah. Then he turned around and called for the DQ. Of course, Cesaro thought that the match was over. They had won, and then they announced the DQ finish. So New Day retains, not by winning though. So I think we are starting to do the slow kind of deceleration into New Day dropping their titles.
Yes.
They're going to give them the demolition record, yes. I think.
That's going to happen.
Because I think the earliest we're going to see them drop these will be probably either Royal Rumble or Mania.
Yes.
Which it sucks that they'll maybe drop them at Mania. I would rather see them drop them at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, drop them at Royal Rumble, have them chase it to Mania.
All right, have the rematch at Mania. Maybe even have them pick them back up. You know, who knows? Depends on who beats them. Really, it just depends on who beats them. And I would love, what I would love to see is actually, because, Rumble is a dual brand. Have American Alpha or whoever the tag title, on SmackDown is, come on via the Royal Rumble, go against New Day and possibly beat them and take the Raw titles over to SmackDown. That was my whole beef with the whole of creating new titles, is it made it so much better when, say, your big champion, like say Kevin Owens holds on to the WWE Championship, and the Raw Universal is gone, okay, and you have Kevin Owens until you get to a dual show, which would be Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown can put their challenger up against Kevin Owens, and you have the possibility to lose your belt. And to me, that just makes the belts. Now we've got so many belts. Everybody gets a belt. It's the Oprah treatment of the belt. You get a belt. You get a belt. Everybody gets a belt. And it's just you've got so many titles now. It's like, oh God, this is too much.
Well, they split it. That's normal during any split that they've done. So I'm used to that after seeing the first split back in 2001, 2002 after the invasion angle.
That was right after I stopped watching.
Yeah.
So I missed that whole thing.
I remember that. I remember the old gold and blue letters and the old gold and red letters. And then I remember when they split them again or kept the brand split, then bring them back in the early 2010s. So I'm used to that. That's nothing new to me. We probably won't see a unification match until, they pretty much decide to
run this brand split for a while.
Right. So
yeah, we'll see. But like I said, I think Royal Rumble's probably the best time to take the belts off New Day.
Yes.
Mostly because I just don't want to see him lose it at Mania. Mania is such a big thing.
Yes.
But titles change hands at Mania. So somebody has to lose at Mania as much as somebody has to win. So let's talk about I know we talked about, they said there was 3 main events at Hell in the Cell. But everybody knows whoever goes on last is the main event. And they stuck to their guns and gave it to the women. And gave Charlotte and Sasha the final spot of the night in their Hell in the Cell match. Which this one, it took a minute to get going. Because Charlotte gave Sasha a cheap shot. They actually had to stop bringing the cell down because Sasha was under it, essentially. And then they kind of went out into the crowd for a while. And then they did a spot where Sasha came in to destroy the table. And they both started climbing the cell. Thought maybe we were going to get a powerbomb of Charlotte into the table. Ended up being the other way around. Charlotte dropped Sasha through the table. And then they played the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 angle where she was hurt and could not continue. So they're wheeling her out, and as they're making the announcement that Charlotte's the new champion, Sasha throws the EMTs out of the way and rolls off the stretcher and rips off the neck brace and climbs in and gets back into the match.
I still, you call it Daniel Bryan moment. I still call it Mick Foley moment because I still remember from '98,
right. Yeah,
when Hell in a Cell when Terry Funk's like, "Get on the damn stretcher, Mick. We need to take you to the back." And he gets halfway to the back. And I really believe Mick didn't know what the hell he was doing. He just rolled off, ran back down, climbed the cage. But it made sense, I guess, for the story they were trying to tell. Could have been a little shorter than what it was, or they could have got her a little bit closer to the back than doing something like that, how to come closer.
They kind of showed, to me, they kind of showed their hand when they said that Charlotte was going to be the new champion because Sasha couldn't compete. Yeah, they never rang the bell. The match never started.
Well, it would have been under forfeit rules. It would have made sense because it's just like when Owens won against Zayn with the KO.
Zayn, yeah.
It's same kind of concepts. Like you can't compete, even though it's like when CM Punk lost the title to who was it? Randy. It was a triple threat or a 4-way match where Randy beat him up backstage beforehand, so the title was technically vacant because Punk had to forfeit. Forfeit means titles change. So that's understandable, understanding the rules. It just could have been played out a lot faster. The pacing of it was just a little bit slower to my liking. But once it started picking up, we got a bunch of spots that was for females wrestling.
Insane.
Yeah, outside.
It made Lita cry. They were showing on the new Raw talk. Lita was legit tearing up.
Yes.
Because of how proud these girls made her.
Oh, yeah.
And, people are always saying it wasn't the greatest match. It depends on who you talk to. For me, it was okay. It wasn't match of the night. It wasn't, but I think we all had that expectation. Like, we'd all set that bar so high that they were never going to achieve it unless we could bring that bar down. But then there were some of these spots they were doing with tables and, all this stuff. Sasha doing the knees into the cell with Charlotte and all this stuff. And, there was a lot of craziness. I think Charlotte, you said Charlotte, looked like Charlotte had a black eye.
Yes.
I think you might be. It was either her eye makeup or she might actually have a little bit of a shiner.
The right eye looked like it had a little bit of shiner. My favorite spot was still when Sasha was setting up for the double knees with a chair in the corner, and she slapped the shit out of Charlotte's stomach just gave her pink belly. I don't know why. I'm weird like that, but that was my favorite move in the match. Just that, I know it's not going to hurt you, but it's going to sting for about a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the funny part is Charlotte actually sold it. If you watch it, she's like rubbing her stomach afterwards, like, damn, that stung. We also, if you check pictures on a bunch of Facebook groups and shit, you'll probably see a bunch of Sasha's ass. Because apparently tonight Charlotte loved pulling her underwear up in between Sasha's ass cheeks. So
there you go.
Match of the night because of Sasha's ass cheeks. There we go.
The real winner tonight, Sasha's ass cheeks. However, we'll talk about the ending here very quickly. Charlotte becomes the 3-time women's champion, and man, did this crowd just die. They didn't boo. They just didn't care.
It was predictable. Sasha has, if you want to say like Daniel Bryan and a lot like Balor and Tommy, they're great performers, but they probably shouldn't. They probably won't hold titles for long. Yeah. Up until later, until they learn to work a lot safer. I'm not saying she works safe and she knows how to take a bump. She knows how to do that, but she knows to go out there and take bigger risks during pay-per-views. Yeah. Raw stuff should be a lot safer. But the thing is her frame can't take it. So Charlotte having a little bit larger frame and
she had a bit of an advantage in a match like this.
So, advantage, and she's able to stay healthy a lot longer. That's one thing they look at when they won't look at a long-range champion. It's like, can you do multiple pay-per-views without getting hurt? Or if you even if you do get hurt, can you still go through it a little bit, And that's basically what they look for. That's why Daniel Bryan never carried the championship very long, is because he got hurt a lot. That's just how it goes. People will say, "Oh, because Sasha's black. Oh, because of this." It's mainly because she gets hurt a lot.
It's because she gets hurt a lot, and and Vince has a thing right now with people losing in their hometown.
Yeah, that's forever.
He loves to make you look like a goof in front of your fans. So, we should have known. We should have known. Sasha had the disadvantage. She had Vince against her because Vince loves to see you do a job in your hometown. It just, Dolph and Miz always have to fight each other when they're in Cleveland because somebody's got to lose,
Or it's like back in the ad to her, we're going to be in Oklahoma City or somewhere in Oklahoma for Raw. Okay, Jim Ross, you're about to get your ass kicked somehow.
Right.
That's just how it goes.
We're going to make Jim Ross look like a loser. So.
I think the only person to get away from that is King, so I don't think you can fuck with King in Memphis.
No, you can't.
I think they really revolt and somebody would die.
Yeah. All right, well, that was Hell in the Cell. Mm-hmm. Thanks for doing the show. If you want to subscribe, you can find the show on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, although it's not video, it's just audio. I don't know why. So many people ask me. They were like, you should put the show on YouTube. It's not a video. Yeah, well, okay, I guess. I don't know.
They can watch it and fall asleep to our sweet, sweet voices.
There you go. He got a bicycle.
He does got a bicycle.
He got a bicycle. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, see ya.
Later, man.